Hi there, welcome back to Swindon Junction. And today what I'm going to try and do is weather this old class, I think it's 37 or class 40, I'm not too sure. It's something I've had for quite a while. It's just been sat in the corner, and the whole idea was to make it into a scrap Loco. So what I'm going to try and do today is do some weathering powders, weathering paint, just to try and bring it into an old rusty scrap condition. Okay, let's begin. So items we're going to use today then is some matte coat from Humbrol, a selection of weathering powders. We've got a white one and some light rust, just as the initial phase, and then we'll move on to some of the other paints and stuff later on when we do the chassis. It seems to have gone a little bit thick on the first part, but we can easily thin that out as we go along. So it seems to take this quite easily, so putting on too much, we always try and thin that out a little bit. I'm trying to just sort of lightly flick it up and down so it just catches some of the sides. In actual fact, yeah, we can take that off for now. We don't really need that, do we? And it doesn't matter if we put too much on, because we can always cover it up with the rust colour later on. So now I'm going to add in a little bit of this rust colour and the powders, and just put them down in various places. And basically what we're trying to do is just to highlight the roof lining, panels, the various inspection panels and access points. This first coat's still wet, still sort of tacky, so as I'm putting this on, it does actually bleed into that first coating. You can leave that first coat to dry and then add the powder afterwards. It's entirely up to yourselves what you want to do. That'll be a bit over the top, but hopefully that will weather down. So basically just doing a bit of rust wash. It looks a bit extreme, but don't worry, most of this will be coming off anyway. So obviously taking off some of that parts, that rust that we put on, just so you're left with where it sort of infills into all the detail. I'm going to do the other side now. Okay, and we're going to let that dry now, and we'll come back and see what we can do with this roof once it's dried out. So while that's drying, we'll just move on to the chassis parts and just try and weather these down a bit. And again, this is just basically using a little bit of the matte coat with some white weathering powder. There we go. Okay. So we'll leave those to dry and I will come back to them and continue. So this is almost dry now, so what I'm going to try and do is just add in just a little bit of rust detail in some areas. Again, just using the weathering powders. So what we're going to use now is some frame dirt, and I've watered this down onto the palette that I'm using, and I'm just basically just going to dab it into these places. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a very gentle blow over with some very, very light grey. I'm hoping it'll give like a bit more of a desired effect on the roof. We'll have to wait and see. So what I try and do here is just give it that bleached effect. It's been in the sun, it's not so sort of fresh and obvious. Okay, so I think it's done the job. Just to take that sort of shine off it and stuff, just a very, very light coating of the primer grey, just to dull it down a bit, give it that sort of bleached, weathered effect. Okay. Okay, so there we have it all weathered up. Hopefully it's done itself justice. I mean, I think I've done okay. It's not brilliant by any means. Using what you've got lying around, I don't think that's not bad at all. There's probably a few more colours I could put on, but at the moment I haven't got those powders with me. So for now this will stay as it is. It'll go into the scrap area over there in time, and hopefully add some more bits and pieces to that area. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe below, and feel free to leave any comments you wish, or any tips and tricks that I could probably use for the next time. Okay, many thanks.